You can't mobile live. Can you do that? सरळ कर.
Is there any problem in seeing the video? Is it not seen properly as in the mode? I just got a response from somebody. Now okay. Okay, Shripad, I guess that's okay. Was there any problem watching the first piece?
Yes.
Okay, now it's correct, it says. But this is not giving me the landscape mode, because what I can see here is the portrait mode. So if I move around, I might go out of the frame. Or is this okay? I guess. So fine, then we'll continue. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So, namaste everyone, and a very, very good evening to all of you. Tomorrow is Guru Purnima, and I'm really happy to be performing on the eve of this auspicious occasion. I pay my respects to my gurus, Srimati Maniktai Ambike and Srimati Yogini Gandhi ji. And I'm really thankful to Sneha Lalit Kala Kendra for inviting me to present Odissi in the orientation series today. I know it has become a little bit late since the previous performance got over a little late, but I thank all of you who are here and who are watching me. So the focus of this orientation series is to get acquainted with the different classical dance styles of India. So today, here I am presenting my first Odissi live performance on Facebook after the lockdown situation. And I will be showing you some techniques of Odissi. I will not be delving more into the theoretical aspect, but I would like to demonstrate some of the technical aspects of this beautiful dance form. To tell you in short, Odissi is a form that hails from the land of Odisha, and actually it is the oldest dance form of all the classical dance styles, but due to certain reasons which have got lost in the history, this dance style was revived much later, in fact during the post-independence period. So what you saw right now, I commenced my presentation with the Mangalacharan. The Mangalacharan, as the name says, is an invocatory piece in which the dancer moves and acts in such a way that the atmosphere around becomes very pious and pure. So Mangala Acharan. So उनका आचरण ऐसा है कि सब वातावरण मंगलमय होता है. So if you noticed, I began the Mangalacharan with a Pushpanjali. So the dancer comes in holding flowers in the hands and she offers them to Lord Jagannath. If you all could see there on that table there, you can see Nataraj and Jagannath Swami. So Jagannath Swami is Lord Krishna. He is known to the people of Odisha as Jagannath Swami. And along with him, you see his brother Balaram and his sister Subhadra. So a Mangalacharan commences with a Pushpanjali, an offering made to Lord Jagannath, followed by a small shloka in praise of a deity. Here you must have seen that this was in praise of Lord Ganesha. But we also have compositions which are dedicated to Lord Shiva, Durga and Goddess Saraswati. in the later half of the Mangalacharan, we see a Sabha Pranam. So if you saw Dhai, Tadhi Kartak Dhai, what I did was the Sabha Pranam, where the dancer bows down to the audience and pays respects to the audience. Now in the olden days, the auditorium was circular, or rather we will say that there was no auditorium. People used to sit in the open and watch a dance performance. So the dancer would be in between and there would be people sitting all around. So if you have noticed, I went all around doing my pranam to the audience. So because it is not just that the audience is front, they are on the right, left, behind. So the dancer moves in a circular manner. So if you have noticed, this was what I did. And I went around on this side as well. So that was the reason that in the olden days, the people used to sit all around, and so the dancer would acknowledge each and every one of them. And that was how this tradition of a circular Sabha Pranam has come into being. So we saw the first was Pushpanjali, then a Shloka and the Sabha Pranam. And in the Sabha Pranam, we have another division towards the end, which is done in the form of a Tihai, which is called the Trikhandi Pranam. So a threefold Namaskar, in which the dancer first pays obeisance to the Devatas. So this is to the gods, to the gurus, and to the Rasikas. So this is how the Sabha Pranam ends, and so does the Mangalacharan. So this is the first piece of a traditional Odissi repertoire. And since today we will be focusing more on the traditional aspects of this dance form, I will be presenting the compositions by great gurus. Now, talking about the technical aspect of Odissi, you must have noticed probably that there are different ways in which the body moves. So the movements of Odissi take their origin from 4 main bhangis, of which the first one is Samabhanga, where the feet are together and the body is straight. So there is no alignment. There is a straight alignment. There is no deflection of the body. This is the Samabhanga. Next we have the Abhanga, which means that the hip is deflected slightly on one side. Then we have the Tribhanga. This is the thrice deflected posture, what we often see in the sculptures on the panels of temples. So we see a deflection at the neck, the torso and the knee. So this is the thrice deflected posture or Tribhang. And last we have the Chauka, which is the square posture, where the hands and the knees are at exact angles to each other. They are exactly perpendicular. So thus we have the 4 bhangis in Odissi, from which all the other movements have evolved. Another very, very important element of this dance style is the torso movement. So often people wonder what gives Odissi its musicality. What is it that gives it the lyrical grace? What is it that makes Odissi so graceful? The reason is the torso moves in a very, very graceful manner along with the hands and the feet. That's called the Vaksha Chalan or the torso movement. The torso is that part of the body which is above the hip till the shoulders. So this part is called the torso. I would now like to demonstrate in short how a torso movement is done. So we have when the torso moves on one side, the chin is going in the exactly opposite direction. So we have ta, I, thi, na, ka, thi, ni, ta, I, thi, na, ka, thi, ta, I, thi, na, ka, thi, ni, ta, I, thi, na, karta, gadi, gana, thai. So if you noticed, when the torso moves in this direction, the chin moves here and vice versa. So this movement takes place in exactly the opposite manner. But at the same time, there is no movement of the hip. The hip is not supposed to move. Whether you are in Chauka or in Tribhang, it is only the torso that is supposed to move and not the hip. So based on all these basic techniques, the gurus have devised 10 Chauka and 10 Tribhangi, which are the most important basic steps which are incorporated later on in all the dance compositions. So the basic are 10 and 10. Then again, many gurus and many dancers have made their own additions to it, and this treasure will go on increasing as more and more dancers keep doing their work. So here the basic 10 steps of Chauka and the basic 10 steps of Tribhangi are taught to any new dancer who wishes to learn Odissi. And only after he or she has mastered this gracefully with the required grace, only then they are allowed to learn the next items. So I'm really very happy to say that my guru was teaching me Chauka and Tribhangi for almost 1 year. And I'm very, very thankful to her for that, because that has really made my basics very, very clear. And I'm able to impart the same kind of training to my students. And I think that it is really important to keep doing these basics, how much ever bigger dancer you may become, how much ever performances you may be doing. But these basics should be practiced regularly, which is what I always insist upon. Because performing a composition will only become easier if you do well with the basics. So for instance, now there are certain steps which are done at the 4th speed in some of the Pallavis. I will be showing that later on. So why the basics are necessary is to give that stability to the body and at the same time the grace. So what happens is, in Odissi, the lower body has to remain stable and the upper body has to be very fluid. That is very important, and that is what makes this a very challenging dance form. So the legs are at times going in the 4th speed, which you may have noticed even in this Mangala Charan. So do dhai ta tin din da ka dhai ta tin din da ka dhai ta tin din da ka dhai ta tin din ka. So this is the speed at which you are going, but the hand is just doing the 1st speed. So I'll just demonstrate this step to you. Why this stability is essential is that, I hope my feet are seen. So when I'm doing this, I'm doing 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is where the hand has made only 1 round, but the feet have done 16 counts. And that is why this stability is extremely essential. Now, while designing the basics, the way they were designed were to first get hold of the body without any hand movements. So when we teach the first of Chauka to all the dancers, what we teach them is the jumps to get the alignment. No torso movement, no hand movement, only the jumps in Chauka. So they are done like this. Kartak gadigan thai, kartak gadigan thai, kartak gadigan ithi na ka thi ni ni. E thi ka thi ni. E thi ka thi ni. E thi ka thi ni. E thi ka ka. So this is what is essential. No movement of the body, no excessive movement of the hands, only the feet doing the jumping. Similarly, in the Tribhangi, we have the first movement where we only introduce the footwork and the torso movement, but no hand movements, which is like this. Na ka thi ni ta. E thi 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 ka thi ni. E thi ka thi ni ta. E thi ka. So this, if you saw, this is the introduction of the torso movement in Tribhangi, where this hip remains stable, this foot or the back foot takes all the weight and the front foot is completely free for doing any movement. So what this style requires is extreme core strength and good strength of the thighs, of the thigh muscles. So we do have some special exercises designed for this, which are actually designed by the gurus themselves, and that is what gives the dancer strength and stability. Now, if we come to a little complicated movements, going further, I will not be able to demonstrate all the Chauka and Tribhangis, but if we go to a slightly more complicated movement, what it requires is the footwork has increased. Here what we did was just one bang, but then we have ta kartak ta kartak ta kartak thai ta kartak thai kartak thai kartak thai. In that, the body has a tendency of going up and down if you don't have enough stability in your legs. So naturally, what happens is there is a lot of excessive movement of the body, and the focus on the footwork and the torso is gone. Hence, that extreme practice of that step is necessary. So that is why the basics have to be done, because I'll just show you that step. That step is incorporated in almost all the Pallavis at the end in the fourth speed. So if you cannot get it in the first speed, doing it at a higher speed is going to be really tough. So I'll just demonstrate it to you. I'm keeping the camera down because I want everybody to see my footwork for this. This is fine, I guess. Is this okay? Okay. So now this is 6 of Tribhangi. So it goes, I'll just show you how the Tribhang Prakar is done first, and then I'll show you how it is done in the Pallavi. Okay? So it goes Jai, Na, Sa, Ki, Sa, Sa, Jai, So if you notice, if I don't do this properly, then what will happen? I'll show that to you. So if I do understand what I am doing? My body is going up and down. So this is not done. This is not the way this is done. So what you have to do is remain stable. Lock this hip here and keep this leg free to move completely. So this leg should be able to do absolutely anything. But this leg should be stable completely. So then we have the third speed. So this is what is expected. And in the Pallavi, when you are reaching the end, you're already at a loss of breath. Your stamina is wavering. Your strength is gone. Then what happens? That is where your training comes into play. That is where your training actually saves you. Because if you are really doing your basics well, then this up and down movement, this loss of strength will not happen. So that is why it is very, very important to keep doing that. Now I would like to introduce you to a few basic movements in Odissi. These were like the basics. But there are some very, very typical movements which you will find in this dance form. And they're very interesting. For example, there is a movement called the Bhasa. Bhasa in Odia language means to float. So the movement is designed in such a way that it seems as if the dancer is floating. So I'll just demonstrate to you first by sitting and then I'll do the footwork. So keeping the hands okay, I have a suggestion here to stop this video and go live again so that I can do this in the landscape mode because I am having a restriction moving around and in my Pallavi that will definitely create a problem. Snehal, is that okay? I just need a go ahead from you so that I'll stop this and I'll go live again. I think I need to rotate the camera before. Okay. Okay, so I'll say finish and then I'll go live again. Just give me a minute. Thank you.